Elena sat in the quiet of her small apartment, the question echoing in the stillness she'd grown so used to. What if I've already met my soulmate and didn't even recognize them? The thought felt like a challenge to the years of patient and sometimes impatient waiting. She had imagined love as a thunderclap, a moment of cosmic fireworks, but life had remained steadfastly, quietly ordinary. She didn't know it then, but her answer was not waiting in some distant, dramatic future. It was being woven into the fabric of her present through 4 quiet signs, a divine pattern she was learning to trace. Long before any new face appeared, Elena entered a season that felt less like waiting and more like emptying. It was a time of quiet healing, where God, like a meticulous gardener, tended to the soil of her heart. He gently pulled out the weeds of past hurts, the betrayal that had left her wary, the disappointment that had made her build walls. He softened ground hardened by self-protection and cleared away the stones of old grief. It felt lonely, this tilling. It felt like delay, but it was not denial. It was divine cultivation. She began to understand that love couldn't take root in unprepared ground. God was teaching her what she'd always whispered in prayer, that a soulmate was not someone who completed her, but someone who would complement the wholeness he was building in her alone. She learned to find her identity and purpose in him first, so that one day, another could join her in it, not be tasked with creating it for he. Elena stopped looking for love in the places she thought it should be and simply focused on walking her path with obedience. She volunteered at a local community kitchen, not to meet anyone, but because it felt right. She said yes to a friend's invitation to help set up chairs for a small church event, not with expectation, but with a servant's heart. It was there, while carrying a stack of folded tables, that she literally bumped into Daniel. Apologies and laughter spilled out, not as a grand romantic overture, but as a genuine, ordinary moment. There was no fanfare, just a feeling of easy recognition. Later, she would remember the story of Ruth, who found Boaz not while searching for a husband, but while faithfully serving her family. Elena realized God often introduces souls not when we are striving and scanning the horizon, but when we are in motion, focused on purpose. Our paths cross not by our elaborate plans, but by His providential choreography in the mundane. As their friendship grew, Elena noticed something subtle yet profound. Time with Daniel didn't pull her away from her faith, it gently anchored her to it. They could pray together without pretense. He asked thoughtful questions about her beliefs, not to challenge, but to understand. When she shared a dream tied to her calling, his eyes lit up not with polite interest, but with genuine encouragement. She thought of Priscilla and Aquila, a couple in the early church who were less famous for their romance and more renowned as a team of kingdom builders. A true soulmate, she saw, is less about stirring temporary butterflies and more about building eternal things. They don't ask you to mute your convictions. They become a sanctuary where your faith and calling can flourish. The relationship itself becomes a testament, drawing you closer to Christ, not further away. Elena was cautious. She had trusted her feelings before and been led astray. This time, she invited wisdom in. She asked her pastor and a trusted, clear-eyed friend what they saw. She didn't seek permission, but perspective. To her quiet relief, they both saw the same things she felt but was afraid to name: peace, mutual respect, a shared foundation. Her pastor noted how Daniel sought him out not to impress Elena, but to ask for guidance on being a godly man. This external confirmation, this harmony between the quiet voice in her heart and the discerning voices of those who loved her, was the final seal. It was the safety net of Proverbs, where in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. It meant this wasn't a private fantasy, but a connection being affirmed in the light of community. Elena now understands. God's introduction wasn't a single, dramatic event. It was a symphony played in 4 movements, the quiet preparation of her own heart, the unexpected crossing of paths while she was simply being faithful, the strengthening of her spirit through the relationship itself, and the confirming harmony of wise counsel. Her story wasn't about chasing or settling, it was about becoming ready and then recognizing the gift when it arrived, dressed in the ordinary. The love that bloomed wasn't a wildfire that consumes and burns out, it was a deep, well-rooted tree, planted in prepared soil, destined to grow and provide shelter for generations. Her best chapter didn't begin with fireworks, it began with a stack of folding chairs, a ready heart, and the quiet, powerful assurance that the author of love himself was turning the page.